antes de las 7 de la mañana. Gracias.
Sean ustedes bienvenidos al aeropuerto de Salvador.
Hello from El Salvador. This couple of weeks has really made me remember how much I love traveling and exploring new places, and more than anything, getting to know my family in different parts of the world. Hopefully I'll have an opportunity to meet more of them along the way. We flew out of Vancouver on Friday. We flew through Mexico City. The flight was really nice. We flew Aeromexico and I had never used that airline before, and I had a really good experience. It was a red-eye flight, so the service was pretty chill but comfortable nonetheless, and very attentive and nice. We freshened up and the rest of my family arrived. My mom is one of 6. So is she one of 6 or one of 7? My mom is one of 7. No. I feel like she's one of 6. There's 5 sisters and a brother, and everyone arrived. My cousins came in. My cousin just had a baby 4 weeks ago. There's a lot of girls in the families, so she had a boy, and he is healthy and so loved. It was very anticipated, and we are so just deliriously happy of having this new little baby to pass around. I had a really hard time speaking full-time in Spanish when we initially arrived. It's in one ear in Spanish, translated in my brain into English. I decide what I'm going to say in English, and then I have to translate it again to Spanish, and then it comes up. And that kind of transaction gets more and more fluid as I spend more time in Spanish-speaking countries. And when I return, I speak worse English, so I just am Spanglish. I speak Spanglish essentially. On Saturday, I went out with my cousin to the mall. We were getting some outfits and some little things that we needed for a party that was happening later in the week. I liked listening to kind of the transactions that she was doing with people in the mall, like when she would buy something or when she would try something on, and try to kind of register them in my index and keep in mind the kind of phrases that I would need throughout the week of how to ask for things or how to kind of interact with people. And she took me to this super cute bubble tea place that is just so well branded and so nice and amazing. It was really interesting to me to see her driving, so it was fun to just be with her and to catch up on her life and what she's been up to. After we went to the adorable bubble tea place, we went to my cousin's house. There was some fireworks in the evening, so we all sat outside and watched the fireworks. On Sunday morning, we got up very, very early. The reason we came to El Salvador was for my grandparents. My grandfather on my mom's side passed away about, I think it's almost 30 years, around 30 years. And he is in a cemetery that was close to where my parents both grew up. My parents were actually neighbors. They are in an area of the city called Ilopango. Cemeteries, I find the ones in Latin America really celebrate your life, and they still feel really alive. There was trees, it was so hot. A couple years ago, my grandmother passed away. And before she passed away, she bought a family plot in another area of the city. And this beautiful, very open spaced cemetery. It's big, there's a lot of big trees, there's a lot of flowers. And she had asked my aunt that we bring them together. I know that my aunts were very happy that their mom was going to be reunited with their dad. All in all, I think we were all really happy with the way that everything turned out. Afterwards, we kind of just hung out. There was an ice cream vendor who kind of just walked by, and we all bought ice cream, which I thought was really cute. And it was my first ice cream in El Salvador. From there, trying to organize your whole family to go to a restaurant is, if anything, it's hilarious. drove around like crazy. We changed our minds a bunch of times. We didn't know who was coming where. And we ended up going to the same place that we got the pupusas from the first night that we arrived, which is totally fine because it's delicious. And it's called Margot. And it's a franchise, so there's a lot of them around. You can get pupusas and pastel de choclo and horchata and everything. You can get all the traditional plates of El Salvador. On Monday we went to Ilo Vasco, which is a small town about 2 hours drive from San Salvador. The town is well known for clay figurines, and there's a beautiful center of the town that has a church, kind of the town square, and there's various small town squares that have churches and fountains. And we went for a coffee and had some semita, which if you are from Central America, I mean, we had semita. I had semita that was made in a bakery, as opposed to the ones you buy at the supermarket that like your friends and family bring back to Canada for you. It was cool to be in Ilo Vasco because it's a smaller town, and I was kind of able to see how people live. There was a lot of people selling things on the street. It was really loud. There was a lot of music playing in all of the different stores to get people to come in. So there's just this huge mix of all different kinds of music, different radio stations, different volumes, different, you know, some of them are staticky and some of them are clear, and it's very busy. It's crazy because I would compare the atmosphere to like Vegas. And it's this small town in El Salvador that's famous for clay figurines. But it was incredible and it was fun, and we had a really good time. On Tuesday, my youngest cousin has just graduated high school, and she invited us to the ceremony. We took a taxi called Línea Rosa, and it's a company that was started by a woman who felt unsafe taking taxis in El Salvador and sending her children to school in a taxi if she wasn't able to drive them. So she came up with this idea to have a taxi service for women only with women drivers, and they have everything you need in that taxi cab. For moms, they have diapers, wipes, cream, everything you need for a new baby. There's tampons and pads and tissues and mirrors and tweezers and bobby pins, and there's everything that you would need. And the taxis themselves don't look like taxis. They look like it's just a normal car with tinted windows. If you're coming to El Salvador and you're coming with a friend, a girlfriend, or by yourself, I would highly recommend using Línea Rosa. The graduation ceremony is here. My cousin was not wearing a cap and gown. She was wearing her school uniform. Her class was 66 students, and her school was gorgeous. The school that she's at has a program with schools in Spain, and she is so smart and is so dedicated. I'm really proud of her. She won an award for being the top of her class, and she is going to university in a month to study to be a journalist. The last time I saw her, she looked like a little girl to me, and now she's this super smart 17-year-old who has just every opportunity in the world. We also went to her prom. This might sound super weird to people from Western countries. I was really surprised, but at least in El Salvador, your entire family gets a table and there's a dinner, and you dress up for prom the same way that you would everywhere else, and your whole family is there, and it was so cool and fun, and we all took pictures, and there were so many of us that we were over the capacity of 10 to a table, so she actually didn't even sit with us. She sat with her friends, but normally you would sit with your parents. And I was telling my aunts about kind of the customs in Canada and how graduation is, and they thought it was super weird. So it just goes to show that the kind of differences around the world of just something small that you wouldn't even think would be different, but it is, and it was really fun. My bag's not ready. That is it for this week. It's been incredible.